Sean O'Malley has skyrocketed from the Contender Series to becoming the UFC's Bantamweight Champion, all while turning the Bantamweight division on its head. Love him or hate him, the Sugar Show has a pathway to making history if he plays his cards right. But will he play it safe? Or will he push the envelope and take risk to become the greatest bantamweight of all time? In a division as deep and dangerous as bantamweight, the path to greatness isn't just about winning, it's about making a statement. Now, I know a lot of you have opinions on Sean O'Malley, whether they be good or bad, whether it's about what he does inside the cage or what he does outside of the cage when it comes to his personal life and his wife and things of that nature. But I do want to hear about that in the comments. And also make sure you like, share, and subscribe. That definitely helps the channel out. And we'll take all the help we can get. So let's dig into it. So Sean O'Malley, when I first heard of him on the Contender Series, I didn't really think that much of him, but he did come in with a bit of fanfare. And once I saw him fight, I saw something that I hadn't seen up to that point. The way that he carries himself and the fact that he's unapologetically himself is something that you don't often see in the era of people basically being a copycat of Conor. And even though he does look up to Conor, and that's very obvious, he's still himself. And that is shown in the way that he carries himself visually. Even if we don't necessarily like it, it is unapologetically him.
Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
There are 5 steps that I think that he can take to become the Bantamweight GOAT, but he has to complete these steps in order to be in that consideration. Let's be honest, Dominick Cruz, in my opinion, is the gold standard when it comes to the bantamweight discussion, but let's see what he can do. Step 1, you gotta beat Merab Dvalishvili, and you have to make it personal, and you need to beat him and make a statement in doing so. Merab is a relentless grinder who has earned his spot as the #1 contender. But if O'Malley wants to be the GOAT, he can't just win. He needs to beat Merab and make a statement by finishing Merab. He needs to start the mind games early, question Merab's legitimacy as the #1 contender, even though we all know that it's legit, and get under his skin. And he definitely has to finish him. A finish is going to send shockwaves through the division. People are going to continue to take notice and start to move him up that ladder, and the conversation will start. He needs to show that anybody that dares challenge his reign, they will not only get beaten, but they will be finished. Step 2, he has to beat Umar Nurmagomedov. Beating Umar is, in my opinion, a tougher challenge than beating Merab. Even though you can see some similarities in their style. Umar has the Dagestani hype train written all over him. We've seen this play out before, and every time that we've seen it play out before, whomever was from Dagestan ends up being the champion. Sean has the opportunity to overcome that stigma and become one of the few people that have been able to derail a Dagestani hype train. Umar is definitely the next big thing, and most people are crowning him as the heir to the throne. So if O'Malley is able to beat him, and I'm not saying that he needs to finish him, because that's a tall task. All he needs to do is beat him by any means necessary.
By any means necessary.
And if he finishes him, that's icing on the cake that is well deserved if he finishes Umar, an undefeated challenger. If he does that, then that's another check mark in the book heading towards greatness. Number 3, he needs to finish either Peter Yan, Corey Sandhagen, or Davison Figueiredo. No more decisions. I name those 3 because it seems, or it appears, that they're the next 3 that could rise up based on how things play out in matchups that have yet to be determined. Decisions don't make legends. Finishes make legends. Now, O'Malley needs to go out there and finish one of the division's top killers out of those three, whether it's Jan, Sandhagen, or Figueiredo. And he needs to leave no doubt of his supremacy within the division. And these three men don't necessarily seem like the toughest challengers right now because of what Umar did to Sandhagen and the fact that Merab is an unquestioned number one. But as we all know, everything is cyclical, and those three will make their way to a title fight one way or the other. Sean has to prove that he's not out to play games. He's not out to just hold his position. He's out to be dominant. Step 4, he needs to crush the next generation. Show no mercy to any up-and-comers. After he's beaten Merab, Umar, and either one of those three men that I mentioned a moment ago, his next task is to crush anybody that's coming up the rankings. More than likely, and this is just an example, if Peyton Talbot goes on a run, and he's shown that he has the ability to do so, at least from our perspective going into it, if he fights Peyton Talbot and derails that hype train, that's another check in the book towards GOAT. That would be 4 title defenses, which would exceed the 3 that is the standard within the UFC right now. It doesn't reach the 5 that Dominick Cruz has, but if he fights those 3 men and then beats Peyton and finishes 2 of those 4, I think that his title reign would be more impressive than Dominick Cruz's. Dominick Cruz, he defended the belt between the UFC and the WEC. He defended the belt 5 times, but there's a caveat to his title reign. He defended his belt against 3 men who fought at flyweight in Scott Jorgensen, Joseph Benavidez, and Demetrius Johnson. The other 2 title defenses were against the same dude in Uriah Faber. And to add on, there were no finishes, all decisions, one of them being a split decision against Joseph Benavidez. So if O'Malley were to beat those 4 guys and get 2 finishes, I would stack that up against Dominick Cruz's any day. And it would make a very compelling argument that Sean O'Malley is the greatest of all time in the bantamweight division. The 5th thing, and he's already started to do this, but the 5th thing is to possibly embrace the villain role and start a featherweight war with whomever is the featherweight champion. Now, he already has some heat with Ilia Topuria, but there's no guarantee that Ilia Topuria will be there as the champion when all is said and done with Sean O'Malley in the bantamweight division. Whomever is sitting as the champ in the featherweight division, once we get to that point, it would be amazing if that is when Sean O'Malley challenges them to a fight to get that champ status. I believe that most people or most fighters that get a belt, they look at champ status way too early in the process. If Sean does these things, does those 4 steps, and then hits this 5th step after doing those 4, people will be clamoring for him to go up to featherweight and test himself against whoever the featherweight king is at that time, whether it be Ilia Topuria or Max Holloway or Diego Lopez, whomever it is. It would be an amazing fight, a blockbuster fight, especially with the gravitas that Sean O'Malley will have at that point in time. That would make him a superstar. He's already a star, but I think that would push him towards superstardom. So if he's able to knock out these 5 things, I personally think that there would be no question that he would be the greatest bantamweight of all time. But this is where you come in. Let me know what you think. You see the 5, you heard the 5. Let me know what you think. What would Suga Sean O'Malley have to do to become the greatest bantamweight of all time? Till next time.